High-stakes exams create their own gravity. The school library extended its hours until midnight, offering a quiet space for anyone buried in notes. There is a specific kind of hyper-focus that happens late at night. You can become so buried in the text that the clock stops mattering until you finally look up and realize it's 10 p.m. Even in the late evening, a library usually holds the small sounds of life, a distant page turning or a heater humming. But at 10, that background noise vanished, leaving the room in a heavy, absolute silence. That mental tunnel vision is great for memorizing facts, but it's dangerous. It strips away your awareness of the room around you, leaving you completely unprepared for when the environment starts to change. The silence didn't last. From somewhere deep in the stacks, a new sound emerged, the rhythmic, dragging thud of someone limping through the aisles. The response was instant and physical. The student abandoned their books on the desk and sprinted toward the long corridor that led to the school's exit. At the end of that hallway, a woman stood watching, but as soon as the student called out to her, she was gone, leaving the exit door standing alone in the dark. This was the moment the library stopped being a place of study. The psychological safety of the school was gone, replaced by the realization that the building was no longer empty. Stepping outside didn't bring the expected relief. The street, which was usually busy even late at night, was unnervingly empty. No cars, no pedestrians, and no movement. Between the exhaustion of the exams and the fear of the library, the student couldn't process the silence. They kept their head down, focusing only on the pavement directly beneath their feet. While staring at the ground, a shadow appeared. It didn't belong to a nearby tree or a lamppost. It was long, thin, and stretching directly toward them from an empty space. There is a unique vulnerability in these transitional spaces between the school and the home. When the physical world goes quiet and the streets empty out, the environment itself seems to isolate you before a threat ever appears. The student looked up to find a woman walking just ahead. She wore tattered, filthy clothes, and her hands and feet were visibly twisted at impossible angles, forcing her into a slow, agonizing gait. The brain simply stopped working. Faced with something that shouldn't exist, the student stood frozen and numb, unable to even find the words to answer when the woman spoke. In a desperate attempt to get her away, the student blindly pointed toward the far horizon, gesturing for her to keep moving. The figure limped away into the darkness, but the reprieve was short. A second later, a scream tore through the night. "She is here." At that sound, the student's consciousness finally gave out. This wasn't a typical encounter. The horror didn't come from a physical chase, but from the moment the mind's ability to process reality simply collapsed. Morning brought a return to the familiar. The student woke up at home, having been found on the pavement and carried back by a neighbor. That neighbor knew exactly who the student had seen. The woman wasn't a nameless shadow. Her name was Agatha. In 1998, Agatha's 10-year-old daughter was a student at Eden Hill. While playing with her friends on the school grounds, she suffered a fatal accident, a loss that Agatha was never able to accept. This history changes how we see the encounter. The malice of a ghost is replaced by the weight of a tragedy that the town has lived with for decades. Agatha isn't hunting. She is stuck. She exists in a constant cycle of grief, repeating the search for a daughter who died years ago. Her physical distortion and that final piercing scream are the outward expressions of that pain, a manifestation of a mother's refusal to let go. Her presence is tied directly to the geography of the school. She patrols the boundaries of the last place her daughter was seen alive, unable to move beyond these streets. Eden Hill stands as a reminder of that night in 1998. It shows that the most enduring urban legends are often just the echoes of a grief that has no place else to go.